Welcome back to the JustRPG Podcast. Today I'm joined by Vicky. Vicky, say
Hello.
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 And today is the day that we talk about the game of the month, which this month is Fire Emblem and the Sacred Stones, the Game Boy Advance. So we'll start with a little background information. It was first released in October in 2004 in Japan. It took a few months to get here. We finally got it in May of 2005. It was the second Fire Emblem to come to the United States, the first one being the first one in Game Boy Advance. I believe it was the 8th in Japan, so they definitely got a lot more love for the series than we do, but definitely was a welcome addition to the Game Boy Advance library. So, in terms of sales, the game sold very well, at least in Japan. I don't think U.S. numbers were actually released for it, but quite a few copies were sold in Japan. Also, it overall got pretty good ratings in the U.S. It got like 85 average, I'd say, on most sites. So the game wasn't, considered fantastic, but it did get good reviews. So when we start off with the basics of how the game plays. So this game, if you don't know, is a tactics game. Kind of has a roguelike element to it. If you lose a character in the tactics combat, that character is dead forever. And you basically would have to either reload your save or start the game over if you wanted to keep that character. And then if your main characters die, it's just automatic game over. That being said, in this game there are two main characters. There's Princess Erica and Prince Ephraim. Erica is a sword user and Ephraim is a spear user. Both kind of have their own deal. They both have a special weapon. Another part of this game is your weapons that you attack with have limited uses. So besides managing the tactics combat, you also have to manage the weapons that you have and the money you have to buy the weapons. And you could at some point find yourself stuck without weapons and without enough characters to continue. It's definitely not the easiest tactics game I've ever played. It also wasn't the hardest, especially for a Fire Emblem game. Did you find that, Vicky? Did you find the game difficult when you played it?
I mean, it's not as bad as it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading up on like the previous ones, and apparently people had said this one was too easy.
I am definitely of that opinion in terms of Fire Emblem games. This one is rather easy compared to the others.
It is.
But compared to tactics games as a whole, maybe it's still like on that top half of difficulty.
Yeah, because, I mean, I don't really know a lot of games besides Fire Emblem where if you die, if you lose your character, that's gone for good. They did away with that in the more recent one, Awakening.
Yes, which there is a mode in that one that you can play, basically like the roguelike hardcore mode.
Yep.
So, but I think that's what kind of is making this game pick up in popularity here. Is it's definitely more accessible for kids and casual players because they took away that difficulty and they just made it an option. Which I think is a smart choice. Why not give the option?
Because if you want to be hardcore, you can, and if you want to take it easy and you want to keep all your characters, like your Pegasus Knight, you can.
And the Pegasus Knights sure are pretty flimsy, so.
They're so squishy. It's not even funny.
Well, why don't we go over the general kind of concept of how the game plays. So again, it's a tactics game. Mm-hmm. You move along a grid, turn-based. You move all your units, then the enemy moves all their units, and then you move all your units. If you attack another unit by either going next to them, if you have a ranged weapon, you can be a couple tiles away. You attack, and then if possible, the enemy will counterattack. So even if you do attack, it is possible that you will miss and then take damage and even die on your own turn. So it definitely, requires you to play strategically, which I definitely appreciate. Besides that, the weapons themselves kind of have a rock, paper, scissors function. So, for example, spears are strong against swords. So if you attack a unit with a spear that has a sword, you're going to do bonus damage. And vice versa. If you have a sword, you're going to be weaker against spears. And then there's axes, which are good against spears, but weak against swords. So you kind of have to look around you and see what your enemy has.
And it's lucky because it tells you about all of that.
Yeah, any unit that you're able to see, you could click on, look at what weapon they're equipped with, and, plan accordingly. Some enemies do have multiple weapons. Like, some enemies will have a ranged weapon and a melee weapon. You can't see both, but you kind of have an idea of what to expect when you place a unit there. You can also change your equipment without attacking. So, for example, if I'm going to put one of my melee guys in the center of all the enemies, and I see that they all have spears equipped, I'm going to move to that tile. Instead of clicking wait, I'm going to change to an axe and then wait and let them kind of attack me.
Yep.
So that's definitely another element of the game that makes it more enjoyable and more strategic. Other than that, the game plays in a mission-style format. So you'll enter the map, and it will be either siege this castle or kill this unit. And the mission will end when you kill that unit. That being said, you do get experience as you kill units, so sometimes you want to kind of prolong the end of the mission until you've cleared all the units that you want to, because otherwise that experience is kind of lost.
And you don't really get much of it per turn.
There are ways to get experience outside of combat. We can talk about that later. But yeah, it's basically whatever's there is what you're going to get. Also, if you want new characters, they'll kind of hint at it. Like, you'll start a mission, and then you'll see two enemy soldiers kind of having a conversation. And you can tell that one doesn't really want to fight you. Now, if you just walk up to that unit, you can attack and kill them, and they're gone. But if you walk up to them with a certain unit that is kind of alluded to in that conversation, then you can recruit them to your side, and they'll, in that battle at that moment, start fighting for you, and then you can then control them. So again, if you want a unit, you got to make sure you get them then. Otherwise, they're gone forever. No second chance.
Do you know how many extra characters there are in this game?
Ooh, I do not off the top of my head, but there are quite a few. There are definitely a lot of characters to choose from that are mostly optional.
Yeah, I think I got 20 right now, or not 20, 10-ish, 15.
Oh yeah, there's way more than that. There's let's say 7, 14, 28. I'd say 35 or so playable characters that you can recruit throughout the game.
Yeah, because you get at least one per mission, and there's 21 parts or chapters.
And you start with some units, and sometimes some mission gives you multiples, and
yep.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, it's kind of a cliche in these Fire Emblem games that, well, I guess we should explain this first. First, your characters have levels. You level up. When you hit level 10, you can then change your class, and you'll have two options for almost any character. So if you have a cavalier or a horseman, melee unit, when you hit level 10, you have the choice of using an item and then changing your class to either a paladin or a great knight. Fire Emblem always gives you, every Fire Emblem always starts you off with one character who's already that second class. And that character is overpowered. And in this game, it was Seth. You start out with a paladin, and he, basically, if you want to, you can just kind of throw Seth out to the front lines and just AFK. He's gonna wipe out the entire field. But he's getting all the experience, so all your other characters later on will be more or less useless if you don't use them enough to,
and
power them up.
And then eventually he'll even out with all of the other enemies.
Yeah, eventually Seth will just, be like one of your normal units if you played it correctly, and he can get ganged up on later. So you definitely have to try to avoid putting him out there. And that's kind of how I play. I'm like, okay, I know that I can just throw Seth out there, but if I do, I know that I'm kind of screwed with all my other characters and their experience. So it's something you kind of have to manage, and that's the case for almost every Fire Emblem game.
So you kind of have to pick your favorite characters and use them the most.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely did that.
There's so few enemies for the most part.
It picks up later, but yeah, you kind of have to be careful. Make sure you put out the right units. Also, some units are very flimsy. Like if you have a caster or a Pegasus Knight, for example, they can get one-shotted if you don't put them in the right spot. which also kind of, you have to play with the fact that you don't want to just give experience to one thing. You got to make sure they get experience too, so they don't die one shot and they can do more later. But definitely a lot of strategy to be had here if you like that. Now, what makes this game kind of easier, which we alluded to before, than the other Fire Emblem games, is after maybe 10 missions or so, there unlocks, or you unlock something called the Tower of Valny, and you can go there and you can basically just replay missions.
Oh.
So
yeah.
This is kind of what made the game too easy, in my opinion. You could put a restriction on yourself and not do that, but basically what you could do is I can go there with a character that I know can take some hits and counterattack and kill a unit. Just throw him up, he'll kill all the units on the map, and then I can just keep replaying that mission until he's max level. So that's definitely an issue with the game. If you can't control yourself and you're going to abuse it. If you limit yourself, like, okay, I'm only going to do it once, then it's not an issue. But I think that's definitely what people mean by the game is easier.
Do they have that feature in other ones?
No. The only Fire Emblem games where you can do that, this being the first, are Fire Emblem Awakening and Fire Emblem Fates for 3DS.
Okay.
I think that's those games are definitely easier even than this one, because they have those options where you don't lose characters, but there's more experience to be had in those newer ones even than this. Mm-hmm. And in this one, you're playing the same one single mission over and over. In the other ones, you can play almost any mission over. So, or, every map over at least. So it definitely makes it a lot easier. Which, I mean, if you like to grind, it's definitely a plus. And if you don't like to grind and you think that's kind of cheating, you don't have to do it either.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a good option. Yeah,
I mean, I like the option to do so. I can either restrict myself or decide I want to grind and make the game easier. And, it's kind of up to the player, which I think is a good way to go about it. All right, well, I think we covered gameplay, right?
Yep.
All right, why don't we move on to graphics? What did you think? Keep in mind, this is Game Boy Advance, so what did you think of the graphics?
I thought they were, really cute. The characters were pretty well designed for its time, I think. Wait, 2004.
I mean, I equate Game Boy Advance to Super Nintendo, if it was a console.
Yeah, then it'd be really good.
Yeah, I like the colors. The colors are very vibrant. The sprites are very nice. Mm-hmm. They do have kind of a goofy look on their face when you're not zoomed in on the character.
I love it. I love it so much.
But I also like that. I thought it kind of, I thought it kind of fit. I don't know. It looked cool.
Yeah,
but
they were adorable.
Yeah, they're just beady-eyed, generic face. But when you go into a combat scene, it's a full sprite and, in my opinion, pretty good looking. I was trying to.
They didn't have any facial features though. They didn't emote or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the best game, but I think the sprites were very well done for Game Boy Advanced. And for a game like this, you don't really need all of that kind of extra. It's more about that tactics combat.
Yeah. They did a good job with that.
I'm trying to think of games that look better for Game Boy Advance, and I'm thinking Golden Sun, sure, looks way better, but these sprites are pretty well designed. It's not a big improvement from the first Fire Emblem on Game Boy Advance, but it looks pretty good. I was pretty impressed. All right, let me move on to the music. What did you think of the music? It seems that's kind of your specialty.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, I don't really think it was anything special.
Okay.
I barely thought about it. The only theme that really stuck with me was, the main theme, the overworld screen, pretty much.
Okay.
Which was, a constant, because you were either on the map screen or when you, first entered a village, it was, that one tune. And it was kind of it was okay.
I mean, I didn't think it was amazing either. I thought there were a few. I thought it fit the mood.
There were
fit
songs
the style.
That did fit the mood. There was a sad part, and it had much sadder music, and I'm oh, I really feel it now.
Oh, yeah. Also, when a character dies, it plays that darker, sad music. You screwed up music. time to cry about it.
Yeah, I screwed up a lot. So I did hear the sad music quite a few times.
Well, if you played, on either virtual... Oh, that's another thing that we should mention. It was also released on Virtual Console on Wii U.
Yep.
So you could utilize save states without using an emulator if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Which I'm not against. I got limited time, so if you need to do it, you need to do it. So.
Didn't it also come out on just regular Wii Virtual Console?
It's possible. I'm not positive though.
Oh, okay. Also maybe the DS or 3DS.
Possible. I know for a fact it's on Wii U though.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks pretty good on the Wii. You can play in the gamepad too. It's a good game for Wii U.
Oh, nice.
Into that. But back to the music. I noticed when you almost clear a map, there's only a few units left. The music will change to something more kind of dramatic. I thought those were all nice touches. But again, I don't think it was, super fantastic. Oh my God, we made the best music ever. I think it would just kind of fit, kind of neutral on the music.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely not bad.
Yeah, I also agree with you.
All right, why don't we move on to the story then?
Woo!
What do you think of the story?
The best part.
Really?
Well, it was pretty good. From, what I got to.
I think it's okay for Fire Emblem game. I don't expect too much from tactics games in general. Like, I think it did a good enough job at the story.
So, all right, well, let's talk about the beginning of the story.
Okay.
The land had been, in a state of peace for 800 years. I forgot what the name of the country was already.
Whatever.
And then these jerks decided to, uprise and, start to take over.
Yeah, it's basically there's maybe 5 kingdoms, 6 kingdoms here. Yeah.
5.
And you are basically it starts off you're the princess, you're Erica.
Of Renee.
Yeah, Renius maybe? I don't know how you say it.
I don't remember. I kept saying Renee and Renee's and then mayonnaise.
All right, you're the princess of the mayonnaise kingdom. And basically you've been at peace, and your neighbor Grotto, who's your father's the king, and they're buddies, and you're buddies with his kids, and one day they just attack. It's kind of unexplained, and you basically have to. They basically rush in, take over your whole kingdom, and now you're kind of refugees, kind of running around the other allied kingdoms and trying to fight back Grotto.
Yep.
Now it wasn't super unique, but it also wasn't super cliche. It's not like it starts off and bam, evil, bam, you got to go save him. It was there's more mystery to it, which I think is made it a little better. It definitely could have been more generic, and I wouldn't have complained too much, but I thought it was unique enough for a Fire Emblem game. Besides that, you kind of start out with just the Princess Erica.
And Seth.
And Seth is her, basically bodyguard, kind of. I guess he was a general in your army. And about halfway through the game, you get to a point where you meet up with Ephraim, the prince, your brother. And
twin brother.
Yes, twin brother. They both have fantastic blue hair. But
I fell in love with him instantly.
I'm sure you did. But basically, after a few missions together, you decide to split up. Ephraim's going to go attack the heart of Grotto, and Erica's going to go out and kind of gain more support for that eventual attack. So at that point in the story, you can choose. You can choose whether to continue Erica or continue Ephraim. I went for Ephraim just because I liked him better. I like the spear better. It's more my thing. But you don't go back and play the other story. So what I recommend doing at that point is to make a second save. Right? So you can, if you wanted to go back and play that story, you don't have to restart the game. You can just load your second save. If you didn't do that, you would have to restart the game.
Ah, damn it.
To get to that point.
Well, thanks for letting me know now.
Yeah. But, I guess that's kind of an artificial way to get more replay value out of it. But
Yep.
I mean, I'm down for that, I guess. Again, you can just make another save and do it that way if you know about it. Which, if you listen to this podcast, you will.
Ooh.
All right, so I think we covered most of the bases here. Why don't we give our overall impressions? What do you think of the game? What would you rate the game?
I'd rate it an 8.
Okay,
It was
and
great.
why?
I enjoyed like a lot of the characters. There were so many. They all had their little unique backstories and personalities, and I'm all about that. Some of them were pretty generic and cliche, but sometimes you need the character, like the weak princess who decides to fight and take back her kingdom.
Yeah, who kind of becomes the strong female lead, you know?
It's just a general Fire Emblem tactics game, so there's like no really big surprises. Apparently there was some kind of map function that they added from like the very first one. I don't know. I didn't read too much into that.
Maybe it's the overworld map is what you mean.
Yeah, I think it was that.
Kind of like Mario Brothers, you can choose a world and you can get into. Actually, you can get into some extra battles that way if you want to.
Yeah. The story was decent. Like you said, you don't really expect anything like perfect from a tactics game. It's mostly about the actual fighting and stuff like that. But yeah, I would play it again. I will continue playing it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I've played almost all the Fire Emblem. I think I have played all the U.S. Fire Emblem games.
Mm-hmm.
At least once through. As far as a game on the Game Boy Advanced, I'd say I'd give it a 8.5, about what you said.
Yeah.
I thought the gameplay is, good tactics. There's nothing wrong with it. It is a little easy, but, overall I think it's good. It's all optional, all the extra content. I think it looks good for Game Boy Advance. One of the, top 15, 20 best-looking Game Boy Advance games, I'd say. The music's not amazing, but it's good enough. It doesn't impair the game at all. The story's not too generic, but it's not too over the top. I'd give it like an 8.5. Now, as a Fire Emblem game, I'd probably give it a little less. I'd probably give it kind of a 7 compared to other Fire Emblems, because the other ones, the stories were a little better, and they were more challenging, which is kind of what I look for in a Fire Emblem game.
Mm-hmm.
And the new ones are pretty good, too. So, I mean, compared to other U.S. released Fire Emblem games, I'd probably give this a 7. But as an overall just game on the Game Boy Advance, 8.5 for sure. Either way, if you haven't played this game, I definitely would pick it up. It is a great game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the cheapest Game Boy Advance game, but again, you can play on the Wii U, maybe 3DS, we're not sure. But definitely a good buy in the Wii U. I'm assuming is less than $10.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that would be. It's like usually Game Boy Virtual games are about $5.
Yeah, I'd say definitely if you haven't played it, or if you played the new Fire Emblems and haven't played the older ones, definitely something to check out. It works. It plays very well on the gamepad. It looks good on the TV. I think it even looks even better on the Wii U. It's upscaled. Definitely worth taking a look at if you haven't played it already. All right, any final words on Fire Emblem and the Sacred Stones?
That one bad guy in the very beginning with that weird name, I thought he was like one of the funniest characters ever. The one with the dragon.
Oh,
what's his name?
I don't remember.
Moonstar or something like that. It was ridiculous.
Star Child.
Star Child. He was ridiculous with his sad eyes and his. Hated him.
Is it Reeve or Walter maybe? That's another thing with the game. I know we're gonna get on a tangent again. The enemy, like the villains, actually have character as well. Some of them are generic, but characters like General Selena is pretty.
Bone.
Has some depth to her.
I loved Bone just for his name. He was hilarious. But then I killed him. It was very like early in the beginning.
Yeah, and Geb, the chubby guy.
Yep.
The guy with 3 chins. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we pretty much covered the game.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tune in next month for the next game of the month, which we will announce pretty soon.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.